on the screen. Great.
Okay. So are people So can you see all the people in the waiting room?
So right, it says everybody's admitted. 16 people.
Is everyone in here? Yes, people are in here. They're still coming.
Yes, they're still coming. One more
Okay,
just
let's
came.
give them a minute to show up.
Awesome.
Okay. We're just
One
gonna
more.
wait a minute while people are.
All right. Maybe we're there.
You think we got everybody in here?
We've got
Okay.
18. I'll keep my eye on it.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, so hey everybody, thanks for being here. My name is Cedar Lee, and I'm the president of Portland Open Studios. And we are recording this meeting for the people who couldn't make it tonight. So there will be a replay if you want to go back and watch it again. I have a lot of information to share with you. So I'm not going into too much detail. You're just going to get a quick overview, and don't feel like you have to memorize everything that you see on the screen, because I can also share this PowerPoint with you later. So just enjoy the ride. Please save all your questions for the end. And we also can stay past 7. We have an hour scheduled. People who need to leave at 7 can feel free to leave, but we can stay later if we need to answer more questions. So this is this year's current board of directors, and that's me, second in line from the left there. And to the left of me is Chris, our secretary, and directly behind me is Josh Gates, our VP. And to the right of me, that's Elizabeth, our treasurer, and Michael, our website person. So I need to reiterate to you all that this is an all volunteer board and we are not getting paid anything. So if you decide you have to leave right now, we understand. Yeah. So about this time last year, we had all gotten the news that the entire board of Portland Open Studios was stepping down, and if new people didn't step in to take over, then Portland Open Studios might cease to exist. So at that point, I met up with Josh, and we were sitting in my studio, and there was this moment where we looked at each other, and I said, "Well, Josh, I'll do it if you do it." And we kind of made a pact in that moment, even though we were both nervous. And the other 3 members quickly stepped up, and it was like almost this miraculous chemistry just started up. We worked really good together the whole year, and now we're all close friends. So throughout this year, we've created a lot of new systems and templates that are going to make it easy going into 2026. So we can say with confidence that regardless of who is on the board in 2026, it's going to be a much easier year than it was for us this year. And we're not totally sure how many roles will be available yet in 2026. As far as who is staying on the board and who's stepping down, we haven't officially had that talk yet. So the purpose of this meeting is to gauge interest and to get a list of names of interested people. And then we'll follow up with you in the very near future once we figure this out. So we've made things work with the 5 of us, but partly we're feeling like maybe if we had 7 people, it might be better to spread out the responsibilities a little bit more. So if you do join the board of Portland Open Studios, what will you be agreeing to? Well, you have to serve in your position for 1 calendar year, which is January to December. And then you can serve up to a maximum of 3 years. And then whenever you step down from the board, you're expected to then make yourself available for a little while longer to answer questions and help with the transition when you leave. The time commitment, which is most everyone's biggest concern, should average no more than a few hours a week. But that being said, there are long stretches of the year where you don't have to do very much aside from responding to some emails. And then there are a few times when you're facing a deadline and you have to get something done. And during those times, you have to be prepared to put in a bunch of hours all at once if it's needed. So you kind of have to make yourself available. For context, we all have busy lives, jobs, families, kids, other commitments, and we have made it work while learning as we went. So it's definitely doable. As long as the work all gets done, the board has a tremendous amount of freedom when it comes to deciding who's going to do which tasks, and also which tasks we'll delegate to other volunteers or outsource if needed. So there's a lot of flexibility where the board can talk amongst themselves and each person agrees to take on the jobs they're most comfortable or interested in doing. So we're seeking people with these skills. So let us know if any of these things apply to you. We're looking for people who are good at project management, advertising and marketing, web design, graphic design, writing, editing, event planning, budgeting and accounting, journalism, social media, community organizing, general people skills, and experience with Sorry, you muted me, Elizabeth. Experience with nonprofits is a plus. But above all, we want you to have enthusiasm and commitment to the project and believe in the mission of Portland Open Studios and feel committed to putting on a great event in 2026. So we want your heart to be in it, which is why there's an anatomical heart there. Okay, so if you're feeling a little nervous about all this responsibility, it's important to remember that we don't do it alone. We have an employee. Her name is Charlotte Cunningham, and she's our applications administrator. And she has worked for Portland Open Studios for more than 10 years. She's a fantastic resource, and she's seen how the organization works from year to year through many different boards over the years, and she keeps giant databases of information from past years. So if you have a question, she probably knows the answer. Charlotte manages everything to do with the artist applications and the jury process, which determines which artists get into the event. So from the artists themselves, we have the city divided into 8 geographic regions, and then within each region, there's an artist community leader who steps up to lead their group. These community leaders do a lot to keep things running, and they serve as a point of contact between the artists and the board. And then we also have a team of volunteers who is just a group of people that we call on when we have a specific need. So keep in mind that if you don't end up joining the board, you can still join the volunteer team and be a huge support to the organization. And of course, if we have jobs that cannot be filled either by ourselves or our volunteers, it's always an option to hire contractors to fill in the gaps. And this is something that, frankly, we should have done much more this year than we did. So that was a big lesson learned. So I'm going to speed very quickly through a month by month overview of what we do during each month of the year as the board. So in January, we are getting set up for the year. So this is just a planning month. We're setting up email addresses and logins. We're training new board members. We have to start recruiting the 4 jurors. We update the website, prep the artist application. We go over our budget for the year. We schedule an info session for potential artist applicants. We set all the important dates for the year. We want to start finding a venue for the preview show, which this year we didn't do that till later in the year, and we regretted that. So we want to start that in January. Discuss educational resources that we're going to provide to the artists, which is part of the mission of Portland Open Studios, to provide professional development resources. We're going to start scheduling emails for the call to artists to go out in February to sort of recruit artists to apply. We start planning our social media content, and we set up times for when we're going to have our monthly board meetings. So February is the artist application month. So the application goes live on the website 1st of February. We're working really hard to recruit artists to apply. And at this point, all of us are, personally reaching out to all the artists we know. We are posting the call to artists on social media. The treasurer starts setting up bookkeeping for the year. we create a system to collect the artist payments, that application fee, as well as the artist fee for the people who get in later. We host a Zoom info session for interested artists pretty early in the month to give information about applying. And we start initiating contact with our volunteer team. And then we want to take that application down from the website at the end of the month. And then it's March, and this was the jury that we put together this year. It's a new jury every year. So we, by the 1st of March, we want to make sure we have a minimum of 120 applicants so that we end up with at least 100 participating artists. We had no problem this year. I think we had, what was it, 160, something like that. And we were worried though, because this happens every year, like 75% of the artists apply in the last week. So you're watching the numbers and you're like, oh, we're not going to have enough, but then they all flood in the last few days. So the jury deliberates with Charlotte middle of March. Towards the end of March, we have a really exciting board meeting where we get to find out who got in, and we finalize the accepted artist list. We tell the artists whether they got in or not towards the end of March. And then we start collecting contracts and participation fees from the artists that were accepted. So April, oh, a note about those artist fees. The artists pay $250 to participate, and that artist fee is where 100% of our operating budget comes from, unless we get donations. So that's important to know. And Elizabeth can tell you more about the budget later on. So in April, we get confirmation from all the artists who were accepted, and we want to collect all those fees by the end of April if possible. And then we start an email database. We add all the accepted artists into the email database as a segment, and we start scheduling email campaigns to them. And then at the same time, Charlotte is looking at all of the studio addresses on the map of the city of Portland, and she draws boundaries to divide all of the artists into 8 geographical groups. So we have North Portland, 2 in Northeast, 3 in Southeast, and then Northwest and Southwest. And at that point, out of each one of those groups, and this is where it is helpful to have someone on the board who is an artist who has participated many times before, because we know a lot of the other people who are artists in the city. And it was really helpful to sort of know which artists would be good people to reach out to and ask to be community leader. And then we plan a big artist meeting for May. And in May, we have this huge Zoom meeting with all the accepted artists, and sort of get them up to speed, and especially the people who are participating for the first time, we want to answer all their questions. We set up what is called the artist portal, which is on the back end of the website, and every artist gets a login to the artist portal where they can access all the resources in there. We also start getting them to sign up for the Instagram takeover, which is where they will take over the Portland Open Studios Instagram account. They don't generally start posting until kind of later in the summer, but you want to get that scheduled with their sign up dates. We make a plan about which professional resources we're going to offer to the artists in the artist portal. And by this point, we want to finalize who our community leaders are going to be, and then initiate contact with them and sort of set expectations for what they need to be doing. And then the treasurer makes sure that taxes get filed with our accountant. And a note about nonprofits, the deadline is May 15th, not April 15th for taxes. So then it's June, and by June, we want the website, we want to have a plan for the website. It doesn't have to be done yet at this point, but we want to know what we're doing. We need to take inventory of those yellow yard signs and get replacements ordered, because it can take a while to get those replacements in. And at this point, we look at our budget again, see if we need to discuss getting corporate sponsorships or other fundraising. We didn't do a whole lot of that this year because our budget was pretty good. And we want to determine our advertising buys for the year. And advertising takes up about half of our budget. We try and keep it around $12,000. We're also compiling content for articles, and historically we've run an article featuring all the community leaders, which is a nice perk for them. A nice way to thank them for stepping up and volunteering is by featuring them in the media. And then at this point, the artists start posting a little bit on the Instagram takeover. It's going to really pick up later in the year, but there's a few of them posting in June. And then we are thinking about social media content, which this year Josh made some great little graphics and stuff that we used on Instagram. And we want to be creating a Google map of all the artist studios. And we really need the artists to finalize their studio addresses and check all their info is correct at this point so that we can get the graphic designer to start working on those printable maps. We need all of their information to be correct for that. And then it's July. Things are really picking up. At this point, we are starting to plan the preview show, which hopefully we have the venue already booked. And we're collecting the artist entries, which we want to find out which piece of art the artists are choosing to show in the preview show. And then we recruit a team of volunteers to hang the show and to put the show on. We set all the dates for the artists to drop off and pick up their work. And we are finalizing our ad buys for the year at this point because advertising is going to start up towards the end of the summer. Our ad content is in progress. And at this point, we're assigning studio numbers. And this is another lesson we learned is don't assign the studio numbers until as late as possible in the year. If you assign them too early, what happens is people will move neighborhoods, some artists will drop out, and then the numbers are all out of order, which doesn't make sense for the tour visitors. So lesson learned, just wait to the last possible second to assign those numbers. And then the graphic designer works on the maps, and the website should be coming together and getting ready to make that website go live. So August is when things get real. So August is crazy. Like all of us were doing everything all at once in August. So we got the website. We do a soft launch of the website in August because you want to make sure there's time to make any needed corrections before the real launch in September. We're organizing the preview show, creating the labels to hang next to the art in the preview show. Ad content is in progress, and we're submitting our event to events listings, and we're emailing the artists about how to bring their work to the preview show, and etc. And we're creating email and social media campaigns to get people excited about the preview show. And at the same time, we are getting 1,000 copies of our general flyer printed, which get distributed to the artists along with their yellow signs so that the artists can be papering the whole city. And we coordinate a team of volunteers to drive all of the signs to the community leaders who then distribute them to their artist group. September was very exciting this year. That's when we have the preview show. It doesn't have to be in September, and there are different opinions about when the preview show should be, but it was in September this year. And so we ran ads for the preview show, hung the preview show, hosted the preview show. And then you're going to want to have those printable maps ready to go because we're 1 month out from the event now. And you want to make sure all the artists have their signs. And at this point, print and radio ads are in progress. And we're lining up artists for a few TV spots that happen closer to the actual tour. The Instagram takeover is in full swing at this point. Everyone's getting excited. Energy is high. The artists are posting every day. And the tour goes live on the website. And then we get to actually officially launch it and announce it to all the artists and the patrons. And then October, we're here. It's go time. And all the artists opened up their studios in October, and the board, like, gratefully had almost nothing to do for all of October. Like, it was really a light month. If we did our job well, everything's going smoothly. So we just had to wrap up the preview show, tie off some loose ends, pay the artists for any sales that they made at the preview show. We got a few artists featured in TV spots early in October, and we were running Facebook ads for the tour. And then After the tour, we're planning a final fundraising push for Giving Tuesday in November. And we're making sure to get all of those yellow signs back from the community leaders and putting them into storage. And then we are updating the website immediately after the tour to shift the focus more towards the next year. So now we are in November. In November, we're reflecting on what lessons we learned through the year. We're collecting feedback from the artists so we can incorporate those good ideas as we plan for the next year. And we're recruiting future board members and volunteers, which is what we're doing right now. And we're evaluating the budget looking towards next year. Right now, our budget is amazing. It's really a healthy budget going into next year. And we're shifting the website to focus on next year to attract artists to apply in February. And we're getting all the signs back and storing them for the year. That's done. And then December, we're hopefully going to bring on a few board members and train them. And the treasurer is going to prepare the taxes for filing in the spring. And we're strategizing for the new year. So I'm going to let a few board members also speak about their experience, but what I think I've gotten out of this year leading Portland Open Studios. One, I've met so many artists and gotten to know their work better, which is amazing. I feel like I got to be part of creating this unique creative culture that we have here in this city that really knows how to value the arts. And Portland Open Studios, I really believe in the mission. You know, we bring art to the people in an accessible way, and it does a small part to help local artists thrive. So there's also this feeling of accomplishment when we get to see all of our efforts coming together. So my opinion is that if you have some volunteer energy to share over the next year, this is a really cool way to spend that energy. So let's hear from Josh. Are you in here? Or Michael?
Okay, yeah, I'm here.
Josh?
I am ready. Do you want me to run down what I do?
Yeah, let's not do the volunteer form. Let's hear about your experience first.
Yeah. So I'm vice president of Open Studios, and like Cedar was saying, we have curated the roles based on people's strengths. So vice president sounds very broad, but I can give you some specifics about what skills I brought and wanted to contribute and what I ended up doing, especially over the past year. I did a lot of copy editing for all of the written content. That's something that's going to need to be done because everybody ideally contributes to writing things for emails, marketing, website content, social media content. And I was able to provide some copy editing skill to make sure everything is tightened up, grammatically sound, looks nice. I also helped with some of the writing for the website, for bios, for our jurors, for emails that we sent out. There's a lot of different emails that get created by the board over the course of the year that go out to the artists. Cedar mentioned that I did a lot of graphic design, mostly to create images to be used on our socials. And so I ran the social media this year, which was primarily Instagram. And then in addition to that, I also oversaw the Instagram takeover, which I'm sure most of you know about or maybe participated in, which involved setting up a Sign Up Genius page so that people could pick a date and, if necessary, swap with each other. And then I took it upon myself to make sure people were getting reminded a week in advance to make sure that that all goes smoothly. We had a great Instagram takeover turnout this year. I also do a little bit of fundraising. I'm going to be working on an email to go out to folks about Giving Tuesday pretty soon here. And then all of us, including myself, had a role in finding jurors that we could. The jurors are going to be different every year. So everybody contributes to the process of finding jurors, and we're looking for people from different categories, like an educator, a gallerist, I forget what, and then one was flexible. Cedar, what was the other one?
A working artist.
Yes.
Yeah, and then a disruptor or wild card.
Yeah, wild card. So those are the primary things that I've been doing as vice president. In addition to just answering questions and helping to represent the organization, of course.
Thank you, Josh. And you did it all year while working full-time as a mail carrier.
True.
Yeah. Okay, so Michael, are you in here? I don't know if
I
Michael-
made it.
You made it. Hi, Michael.
I did. Sorry, everyone. I'm out of the country and my internet was out like a few hours ago.
So Michael was our website person. Let's hear what
Yeah.
you have to say.
I'm an at-large board member, and hopefully we get more at-large board members, like we increase the board, because the more people, the better, I think. I took on web stuff and email stuff. We all kind of shared email, but so Josh, and not we all, Josh, Cedar, and I did email, so all of the Emma news blasts. But I think I kind of tried to keep an eye on just consistency for design and technical consistency. The web side is challenging. Our system is it's very good for certain things, and then it's challenging for others. The actual tour guide is a challenging part. And they warned us about that, and so we're warning you about it. But I kind of have a system set up of just how to organize it that I think would be a good starting point for however we do it next year. I think my big lesson from this year was to keep things simple but like strong. So like if you can simplify things but do it well, I think that was kind of what I was hoping for out of this year. We had great ideas. We did do some kind of new ideas this year, but also we had some great ideas that would be cool to have done. But I think keeping it kind of narrowly focused was helpful for our bandwidth. My biggest takeaway from the year was community. That's why I did this. I think also I wanted to make sure it happened again. They were kind of threatening that it might not happen this year. So we did that. Yay, we kept it going. But what I got out of it, I did get a community out of it. I'm not the most outgoing person, so it's cool to just have a central role where I met a lot of people. And definitely the board was such fantastic people. I think just people that volunteer for something like this means you're going to be interacting with really cool artists, cool volunteer-minded people. Our non-artists on the board is amazing. Just really great people. So I that's definitely the biggest reward for the whole thing.
I second that. And Michael, I'm so glad that we got to work together and how great our team was. And yeah, there's some positive energy that we are hoping carries forward into the next year.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you. And I know at times we were getting stressed out about the website at certain times, but at the same time, it was always fun. And I'm really glad we've done this. Yeah. So Chris unfortunately is sick with the flu, our secretary, so he's not here to talk, but let's hear from Elizabeth, our treasurer. Thanks, Michael.
Hi, everybody. I'm Elizabeth, the treasurer, and I am the non-artist on the board. I have been a patron of Portland Open Studios for at least a decade. I have a teenager, and she and I have been going to open studios pretty much since she could walk, especially up in St. John's where we are. And I also was friends with Leah Kohlenberg and Melissa Moline, who were on the previous board. They're the ones that told me about Open Studios to begin with, I think. And so that's how I got involved, was when I heard that they were gonna be, not doing it anymore, and they were really recruiting to make sure that it stayed alive. I definitely volunteered, and I work full-time as a project manager for a construction company. So treasurer just kind of fit the bill pretty well for me. And yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Like both, like everybody said so far, we've had a great board. Our roles were sort of custom made for our strengths, and that really helped us make progress and move forward, sort of blind, if you will, because we were all brand new. But we did a great job, and we had great energy all the way through it. And yeah, it's been a great year. In addition to the treasury, like managing the budget, forecasting what we were going to spend for each, for the preview show, for the advertising, doing taxes, that kind of thing. I also helped out with the signs. The signs are currently in storage at my house. And I don't know if they will stay here forever. We'll find more permanent locations for the signs, but right now they're safe and sound. And I coordinated, distribution and receiving them back with a bunch of folks, with Cedar and a bunch of community leaders. So that was great. And then the other thing I helped out with was the preview show and creating labels and just organizing all of that art as it came in, just sort of cataloging it as it came in. And so that was actually, it was a lot of work, but it was a really fun exercise, because I feel like I really did get to know the artists, all the artists, in a way that I had never gotten to see that many of the artists before. So that was super fun. And yes, there's lots of little tasks like that we really could use as much volunteer energy as we can get. There's so many little projects that are so important throughout the year. And I hope that some of you will join us. I'm very hopeful.
Me too. Thanks, Elizabeth. And you've been amazing.
Thank you. You
over
guys
the
have been
top.
too.
It's awesome. Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
And Chris is awesome too, even though he's sick and he's
Chris
not
is
here.
awesome
He
too.
did
Chris
so
did
much of the
he,
marketing
like,
outreach
spearheaded all the
and
advertising.
all the advertising. He did so much. Yeah, it's been a really good year.
Yeah. Thanks.
Mhm.
Okay, so looking towards next year, we aren't yet entirely certain how many roles or which roles will be available, but we will know soon. We're going to figure it out soon. So if you think you want to be involved and you have some of those relevant skills, we need you to fill out this volunteer interest form by the end of this weekend, because we're going to talk on Monday. So Josh, do you have that link to put in the chat for people?
It's in the chat.
Is it in the chat? Okay, so you'll find the link in the chat, and we need you to fill that out if you want to be involved. Even if you don't want to be on the board, fill it out anyway if you want to volunteer with us at all, because it's just a volunteer interest form. You can check all the boxes for the things you're interested in doing and what level of commitment you're thinking about. So you have a few days to sleep on it, as long as you get that to us by the end of this weekend.
And if you know anyone who is an art lover or an artist who isn't here, feel free to pass this on to them as well. And even though they didn't make this meeting, we will put a recording of it up that they could look at, and they could just, reach out and we can answer whatever questions they have.
And we're also using this form long-term on our volunteer sign-up page on the website to just recruit volunteers in general. So feel free to send everyone to that page on the website. If you go to portlandopenstudios.com and click support us and volunteer, it's this same form that you'll find there. So please do fill out that form. And now I think we can take questions. Yeah. So questions, please put your questions in the chat. And if any of you want to unmute yourselves and ask your question with your voice, you're welcome to do that as well.
Hi, it's Tim Owen. I attend the every Open Studios tour within 200 miles of Portland and within 100 miles of Sedona, Arizona
I know
every
your
year.
face.
And yeah, I have a question. I'm a database consultant. I work mainly with nonprofit arts organizations. I work with the Sedona Arts Festival, been working with them for 10 years. Previously, I was on the board of the world's largest Macintosh user group back in the 90s in Los Angeles. And all of my clients currently, although I'm semi-retired as a information systems consultant to arts organizations, are nonprofit arts organizations. So my question was for Charlotte. Do you use the Zapplications application form for the website for your applications, or what technology are
I
you
don't think
using for
Charlotte
that?
is here. Is Charlotte here, guys?
I don't think we have her here.
So we don't use Zapplication. I think it also varies from year to year. I know in the past they've used the Cafe, it's called Cafe for website, where there's all these listings. But no, we create our application and host it on our website. At least that's what we did this year. But I know for a fact it's been different from year to year. But I don't know the whole history of it. So
Yeah, well, Zapplications is useful more for arts festivals that recruit from artists around, the whole region, like the Southwest.
yeah, I know we were
Northwest,
considering doing a separate platform, and we ended up just doing it. We have like a template for the application that's in the website, so we can just update it year to year, and it's just simpler. But that being said, every board is a new board with new ideas, and there are different ways of doing things. So
yeah,
you
well,
know,
I have
yeah.
30 years of experience designing databases for nonprofit arts organizations, which is
Amazing.
the reason for my
Yeah,
question.
please
I'm
fill
not
out that.
so I'm not quite so fluent in website related stuff. I leave that to my nephew, who is a principal web designer for the federal government until he resigned recently. We won't go into politics here. But so I'd be very interested, and I will fill out the questionnaire. I've already accessed the site and see what happens. But
Excellent.
I'm
Awesome.
semi-retired, but I'm looking for ways to keep engaged with art. You can see the background behind me is not a fake background. That is my actual wall with which is being in process of being reorganized now to make room for just a few more little artworks. So
Very nice.
that gives you an idea of the degree of my addiction to art generally. At least, as I'm not an artist myself.
I love it.
Art
Yeah.
addict or art lover. So that was my main question about the technology side of
Yeah.
it.
And if you do end up on the board, you'll get such an in-depth, detailed view of all of these little details. Yeah.
Well, I've been working largely. Most of my clients were film festivals in New York City, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Australia, Mexico, Canada for the last 30 years. So I know I'm more or less retired. I still support a few clients, including a project for an art gallery here in Portland and a few other nonprofits featuring the arts. So I'm always looking for a way to keep actively engaged and keep my enthusiasm up for the arts generally.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you. Any other questions?
My son wants to say hello.
Hi,
Hi.
Say, how are you?
how are you?
Really good. How are you?
Good.
That is
Everybody
nice.
who's
of
muted
her.
says good too.
So cute.
I could put a question out there. It's not really well formed in my mind, but if someone wants to come on in a limited capacity and how do you go about, like, what are the steps after you filled out the informational sheet? What would happen next? Like, do you talk more in depth with people about how they see it, or is it just kind of rolls and through the year and organically or
So
something?
I feel like Cedar fell off, so I'll jump in, but I believe the intention is for the board to kind of review the skill set of all the interested people and then reach out to have like more of a training where roles will be better established by the actual interested selected group. And that
Hi,
would be both
Elizabeth.
board. Oh, are you
Yeah,
back?
I'm back. Yeah, my laptop just like crashed. I don't know what
Oh,
happened,
no.
but I'm back on my phone. So
So the question was,
question,
what are the next steps after the application is filled out, for, you know, if you want to participate in a limited capacity, what are the next steps for?
yeah. Well, if you're on the board, you would probably be one of those members at large. So you probably wouldn't be like the president or the vice president. But you also could just be on our volunteer team and take on certain projects as they come up. So there are a lot of options for how we aren't sure how it's going to shake out, but our next step, like for people who we do decide to bring onto the board, we're going to have like a big training meeting in December, probably like, I think we said the weekend of December 13, 14, I think. I don't have it in front of me, but where we just sort of have a big meeting, maybe even in person, and we just bring everyone up to speed. And yeah, and then if you're just on the volunteer team, you'll just be hearing from the board via email next year at some point when they need you. Are there any other questions?
Okay, well, if you think of any, feel free to reach out.
Okay, are we done? Seems like no one.
Yeah.
Seems like no one has any more questions. Okay, and you guys also can feel free to email me, president@portlandopenstudios.com if you think of anything that you wanted to ask that you forgot. Yeah, please reach out. So thanks for being here, everybody. Have a great night.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.